and relentless hard work from several teams within Tata Motors and the wider Tata ecosystem, as well as our value chain partners. And most importantly, this is a result of customers who took the leap of faith in a new technology in the interest of sustainability. Celebrating 250,000 Tata EVs is not about a destination reached, but about a journey that we are undertaking with a nation building intent, taking a leap of faith with the right products and partnering with the right ecosystem partners. So, as we celebrate this important occasion, let's take you through the journey that made India's EV story come to life as we also outline the exciting road that lies ahead. Let me take you back to 2018. India's electric vehicle story did not begin in a ready market. It began with creating a market for something that most people had never experienced. In India, buying a car is often the second most important financial decision a family makes after buying a home. And in this context, Indian consumers are practical, value conscious, and understandably cautious with new technologies, especially for vehicle purchases. Now imagine asking that customer to choose an unfamiliar technology with no visible charging infrastructure at a higher price than existing options. Yet, that was the reality for EVs then. There was no credible mass market electric passenger vehicle. EVs were considered slow, boring, small. And contemporary models had less than 110 km range in those times. And you know which kind of cars I'm talking about. And charging infra was literally non-existent with less than 200 chargers. That also, some of the EV imaginers had started that initiative. EVs were priced nearly two times that of the ICE equivalent. Uh, and no long-term ownership confidence was there. And for OEMs, there was no market. Annual demand was less than 2,000 vehicles. Battery cells costs were upwards of $200 or $250 per kilowatt hour. And just as a reference today, it would be more than $55 per kilowatt hour, which made EVs costly as much as two vehicle segments are. And EV supply chain ecosystem was nascent. So for any rational player in the ecosystem, whether it is OEMs, suppliers, or charging infra providers, there was no business case to invest. And naturally, most chose not to invest in EVs. Back then, if someone would have said that any OEM would sell 250,000 EVs by 2025, I think few would have believed. To combat climate change, air pollution, and energy dependence. Mobility accounted for 18 to 20% of greenhouse emissions in India, and India could not reach net zero without zero emission mobility. 14 out of world's 20 most polluted cities were in India. Removing tailpipe emissions from Indian cities was a critical imperative. And as a nation, we depended on global volatility and global geopolitical conflicts. I think seeing this, the government of India laid out a clear and ambitious vision for electrification with a bold target of 30% EV penetration in private vehicles by 2030. And the government took decisive measures also to accelerate the EV adoption. And what were they? They were GST for EVs was slashed to 5%, road tax and registration charges were waived off. And some of the progressive states also offered additional incentives and subsidies. Yet, despite government's clear intent and actions, most players were skeptical about EVs, arguing that India must look to invest in transition technologies instead. Where others hesitated, Tata Group took a bold bet. And this was not just in response to government's call for electrification, but our deep conviction that India needs electric mobility. We saw a national imperative being unaddressed because there was no one willing to take the risk of building the entire EV ecosystem in India. Therefore, Tata Group decided to pioneer electric mobility in India with an ecosystem approach to create the backbone to break barriers and drive adoption. Therefore, the Tata Group created what we call as Tata Universe, where Tata Group companies came together to create a comprehensive ecosystem to mainstream the EVs. And this initiative included Tata Power, for example, who played a pioneering role in seeding the charging ecosystem in India. TAPO, which is Tata Auto Components, who took on the task of localizing key components and systems. Tata Elxsi and TCS helped in development of vehicle software, and Tata Motors Finance helped with financing for the initial fleet buys. At the center of all this was Tata Motors, which developed as the lead company in the group, the electric vehicles, and worked closely with the Tata Universe companies to synchronize actions to deliver a comprehensive customer offering. From the very beginning, we were clear that in EVs, we would need to start by addressing the customer. We needed to answer what will make EVs fully viable for Indian families. And therefore, we ran a comprehensive survey across India, and I remember the project was called Project Mango, to understand the barriers to adoption and expectations. And the barriers were rooted in practical considerations. What were they? Range anxiety, charging anxiety, high price premium versus price, technology uncertainty, especially on the battery. Basis this, we defined our minimum viable product to address the barriers, and we put down the non-negotiables at our end from the voice of the customer. And what were they? They said the car has to deliver minimum 200 kilometers of real range. They said we are ready to pay a price premium over ice, but not more than 25%. They said home charging has to be simple, reliable, and assured. And long-term ownership had to come with genuine warranty contracts. If we address this, only then we will be able to attract earlier adopters for EVs. So with our customer insights in place, we initiated the development of Nexon EV. And within a record development time of just 16 months, we launched Nexon EV in January 2020. And Nexon EV was the first mainstream EV in India, offered incredible specifications and peace of mind at a great value. And it addressed the barriers for early adopters with 230 plus kilometer real world range, taking the EVs beyond the confines of the city. It also offered 8 years and 1,60,000 kilometer battery warranty to make ownership hassle-free. A free home charger with installation was given. And beyond this, it offered a thrilling drive experience with new features, changing how people saw EVs. And early customers of Nexon EV didn't just buy a car. They became advocates and evangelists of EV adoption. And Nexon EV became synonymous with EVs in India. As a product, Nexon EV shows the true journey of EVs in India. It has evolved in line with the consumer, and after 2 life cycle intervention, it offers 375 kilometers of certified real world range, greater features at price parity with ICE, and a lifetime battery warranty. This has been the trigger for Nexon volumes increasing from 300 per month to 3,000 per month, which is a reflection of how the Indian EV industry has grown and developed. Today, I would like to inform you about a very special milestone that we have achieved. Nexon.EV has become the first Indian EV to cross the special 1 lakh milestone in cumulative sales in India. Now, I would like to invite you to take a look at a short video that captures the journey of the Nexon.EV and its role in shaping India's EV story.
Nexon.EV, India's most loved, most popular default EV. It changed the game for EVs in India. A revolutionary product that made India evolve to electric and was India's first mainstream EV. Even more revolutionary was how it addressed every consumer need. Fully practical, with 200 kilometers plus long range, peace of mind, with 8-year battery warranty, completely safe, spacious for the whole family, premium features, and for the first time ever, end-to-end personalized free home charger and installation setup. You could charge your car at home, just like a gadget. All of this at a limited price premium of less than 25%. Localization began early, long before scale. We began modestly with early adopters, consumers with foresight. They became our opinion leaders. Positive word of mouth grew, ecosystem and localization grew, and the revolution spread. Nexon.EVs became a regular sight on Indian roads. We didn't stop there. The Nexon.EV kept evolving. More range, more technology, more trust. Nexon.EV is no ordinary EV. It started an entire category, became India's default EV, and the numbers say it out loud. It's the OG EV that leads the way, while newborn EVs try to catch up.
So for EVs to be mainstreamed, there needs to be a wide array of options provided to the customers across the segments. And this is reflective in our commitment to build the widest EV portfolio in India with 6 products, with the intent to bring electric mobility within the reach of every customer in India. And our portfolio starts at the Tiago.EV, which costs lower than the median car in India, creating a zero emission mobility option for entry level buyers. Paired with a solar rooftop, the Tiago EV offers not just zero emissions, but also near zero running cost. And at the other end of the spectrum, we have the most powerful Indian SUV, the Harrier EV QWD, showcasing the best in technology and performance that India can deliver. We also have a fleet offering, Express T, which has been a trusted partner to deliver emissions-free mobility to corporate and ride-hailing clients. Across form factors and price points, there is a Tata.EV for every category of buyer, truly democratizing electric mobility in India. Making great products available alone isn't enough when one wants to create a new category. We needed to drive awareness, break myths, and provide comfort. We took the challenge of busting myths against EVs, whether it is driving Kashmir to Kanyakumari to break the myth of EVs being city cars, putting EVs through water wading and rough terrain, or even doing impossible feats such as surmounting the famous Elephant Rock or crossing the river Beas. Through these, we brought confidence in EVs as a technology. We promoted EVs as a category to Indian customers through campaigns such as 100 Reasons to Go for EV, which was played during the prime time slot of IPL to bring awareness and consideration for the entire category, not just our EVs. In addition, we created the largest retail and service ecosystem in India with nearly 1,200 outlets, 600 service centers, and over 5,000 technicians to service our EVs. And as a result, we are able to serve our customers who reside in over 1,000 cities and towns across the country. Merely creating a market for EVs in India without creating the domestic supply chain would not have been meaningful for a company that prides itself on nation building. When we started, the EV value chain in India was practically non-existent. And no major global player wanted, when I say global player, it is the supplier, global supplier, who wanted to invest in localizing EV components in India. And most Indian suppliers did not have the requisite technologies. And therefore, through TACO, we were able to localize the battery pack and motor in the first mainstream EVs. And with every year and every new model since then, we have increased the scope of localization of our EVs, partnering with the key global players. And we can proudly say that our EV component orders would have been the first order for many of the EV component manufacturers in the country. And that has helped kickstart a new industry altogether. As a result of this, we have been able to achieve 50% plus domestic value addition across all of our portfolio. And on the back of more than half a decade of our efforts, a domestic EV ecosystem is available in India for any OEM who wants to bring in an EV. Our journey of the last 7 years has also been one of building technology for India. We have taken EV technology to the next level with Active.EV, which is India's first homegrown purpose-built EV architecture. And this was not just a new platform, it was a proof that India could design and engineer EVs for India at scale. Similarly, we leverage the power of nearly 12 billion kilometers of Indian driving data to enhance Indian EV ownership experience And one product of this effort is the C75 real world range, which is a unique property that no global OEM can claim in India. And with every product, we have driven greater technology alignment, resulting in an ever-growing knowledge base in India for advanced mobility. If building the product was difficult, building the charging ecosystem was even harder. And charging had a fundamental catch-22 problem, where it made no sense to invest in chargers without a large EV fleet and vice versa. And we have followed a three-phase journey in developing the EV ecosystem in India, starting with a foundational phase, which was supported by Tata Power, an open collaboration phase along with some of the key CPOs, and an open collaboration 2.0 phase where we are co-investing with the CPOs, charge point operators. Every phase of this journey is based on customer needs and is aligned to the cause of mainstreaming EVs. In the foundational phase, we worked with Tata Power, who took on the task of investing in the initial charging ecosystem in the country. And our dealers and Tata Group companies provided the initial locations to enable charging in key cities. Home charging was riddled with process gaps, from societies not providing permissions to discoms not offering load extensions. Tata Motors and Tata Power created the set of SOPs that have standardized home charging in India, from NOCs to installation process, the whole set of steps that you need to take before putting a charger. And today, we have over 2 lakh home charging installations, and thanks to these models. As early as 2020, we offered multiple ways to charge: at home, at the office, at the dealers, at public charging locations, in community charging, and also through mobile charging van, or just with a simple 15 ampere plug point. And as we partnered with CPOs, the same charging stack is now available to all the OEMs. As the adoption grew, the question around charging changed. It was no longer whether charging was needed, but where, how, and how well. Oil marketing companies and multiple private charge point operators entered the charging ecosystem, but the charging ecosystem was developing in closed bubbles, resulting in a broken experience for the customers. And in 2023, we took the task of bringing the charging ecosystem together through what we called as Open Collaboration 1.0. We partnered with all the major CPOs and OMCs, leveraging our data insights to advise them on the hot spots of EV charging, because we were really seeing where the cars are really plying on the Indian roads, and therefore where it makes sense to put the chargers, which is convenient for the customers, as well as there is a higher utilization for the CPOs. And this would help in setting the chargers at the right spot, and therefore it helped in increasing the utilization. And results, I would say, was extraordinary. Public charging infrastructure tripled in 2 years. Highway connectivity improved dramatically to 90% highway coverage. And our IRA.EV charging aggregator app became the gold standard for charging apps, providing live status, capacity, and ability to navigate to over 90% of the chargers in India. Earlier this year, our charging initiatives took another bold step with Open Collaboration 2.0, which was powered by 3 key pillars. One was the mega charging hubs, verified chargers, and a charging help desk. With Tata.EV mega charging hubs, our intent was to create ultra-fast charging infra across the country, supporting 120 kilowatt charging and capable for next generation of EVs. These would enable up to 200 kilometer top-up in just 15 minutes, thereby mitigating charging anxiety. They will have between 4 to 16 charging points. So each hub will have 4 to 16 charging points with no reason for anybody to wait or be in the queue. And today I am proud to announce that 100 mega charging hubs are already operational with around 400 charging points across key corridors of the country, and hopefully by the end of this year, this would increase to 1,000. Another initiative is the Tata.EV Verified Charger initiative, where we have taken the responsibility to audit and certify chargers based on reliability, speed, and other critical parameters to ensure that EV owners choose the right chargers for their journeys. We already have more than 500 Tata EV verified chargers with over 1,000 charging points across the country. And we also have our charge buddies who can be reached with a simple phone call to help with any questions on charging. Tata EV verified chargers and mega charging hubs deliver demonstrably superior reliability and speed compared to other chargers and are most importantly open to all OEMs in line with our spirit of building a category and not just for Tata customers. Overall, I would say that our charging journey has resulted in building a robust charging ecosystem in India with 2 lakh Tata EV home chargers, 20,000 plus public chargers aggregated from our open collaboration partners, 4,000 plus community chargers, and 500 plus Tata EV verified chargers. And we are glad to see that many other OEMs have just started talking about augmenting charging infra in India, and we welcome them and are happy to share our insights. Let's see an AV that encapsulate the charging infra journey and the growth that it has witnessed in the past 4-5 years. So, I said that 6-7 years back when we started, literally there were no customers. There was no charging infra, there was no supply base in the country. So let's try to recap and let us ask the question, what has our journey over the last 6 years delivered? And the first measurable set of numbers are one that annual EV demand has grown from just 2,000 vehicles annually to nearly 2 lakh vehicles is what we assume that this financial year will end at. So it's literally, you can see, 100 times jump. What began with one OEM has opened the door for 10 OEMs and over 20 EV models. EV penetration from closer to zero is now reaching a penetration of 5% of annual industry sales. And 91% of national highways now have DC fast charging coverage within 50 kilometers. Since inception, coming to Tata Motors now, this was for the industry. As far as Tata Motors is concerned, since inception, we are celebrating the milestone of 2.5 lakh vehicles, representing nearly 65% of India's EV market. Among this, we have crossed the 1 lakh milestone for the EV that started it all, which was the Nexon EV. Together, Tata EVs have traveled nearly 12 billion kilometers, roughly the diameter of the solar system till Pluto. And our EVs have saved 17 lakh tons of CO2 emissions, which is same as planting approximately 80 million trees. And most importantly, with 250,000 EVs, we have summarily answered the question that was on the most people's mind when we started, will EVs ever take off in India? And the answer has been such a resounding yes, that many who once questioned EVs are now making bold announcement to enter EVs. As the pioneers and category creators, we strongly welcome this. Our 250,000 customers have shown India that EVs are fun to drive and can go anywhere and have been excellent advocates. The average Tata EV owner drives over 20,000 kilometers per year, significantly more than average ICE car owner, which does about 10 to 12,000 a year. Far from being only seeing EVs as second cars, 84% of our EV customers use their EVs as their primary vehicle at home. And contrary to public perception, EVs are not a metro phenomena. A Tata EV has been to nearly every major state or national highway in India. And over 25% of Tata EV customers are first-time car owners, taking the bold leap to EVs for their very first purchase. And I said this is the second most important purchase in somebody's life. Over 50,000 Tata EV owners have taken more than 400 plus kilometer trip in the last year, showing not only the power of our products, but of our curated charging network also. And let's hear a bit about what our customers have to say.
Here's to the ones that made us number one. The early adopters, the ones with tech foresight, the curious ones, the ones who wanted a cleaner, greener future and present.
I usually charge my car like after 4 days, 5 days is what I charge. So when I'm on highway, it gives me a good range of 200 kilometers with my full battery. It goes up to 210 also at times. I have hit 220 once.
There is a Tata Power Easy Charge app.